Hi there, Facebook and YouTube. If you can hear me, this is Chief Meteorologist Mallory Schnell with WHAS11 in Louisville, Kentucky. We are going to chat more about our flood threats and our severe weather threats, unfortunately, continuing into the weekend. Just waiting for a few more people to hop on these streams and also to make sure that it is up on our Plus app. And we will get started momentarily. So hope everybody is staying safe and dry this week. It's been a very active pattern, but the end is near. The light is at the end of the tunnel. We can see it. But once again, just waiting for a few more people to hop on this live stream before we do get started. All right, looks like we are on our Plus channel, so I'm going to pop myself on the screen here. Good Friday evening, everybody. Once again, Chief Meteorologist Mallory Schnell here at WHAS 11 News in Louisville, Kentucky. It has been a wild weather week. Very exhausting one that began Sunday night with that first wave of severe weather. We had the severe weather Wednesday night. And now we're dealing with flooding rain. So we're not out of the woods with the severe weather threat just yet. I'm going to be breaking down the timing for that potential as we head into tonight. We're going to take a look at some rainfall reports so far and also the areas that are dealing with the worst flooding. We're going to talk about river level crest. It's always hard for me to say. River level forecast as we continue onward into next week and when we can finally expect this rain to move out of here. So if you all do have any questions, I can see them up on Facebook. I'll make sure to have that. I have my phone here, so if there's any comments, put them on the Facebook stream. Hopefully I answer them as we continue onward throughout this, but without further ado, let's get started. Hope everybody has been staying safe and staying dry out there this week. Gosh, what a soggy week. All right, we're starting off with a live look. This is from our Galt House camera. Bachman Auto Group U of L Health camera that takes a look that you can see at the waterfront park there. Looks like some debris is already starting to collect. We're already starting to see the river rising once again. We just had that river flooding in February and we are expecting more of it as we continue onward, more so into the weekend and next week. Now, in terms of rain that we've picked up so far today, these are just the official reporting sites, but we are looking at anywhere between, we have a range 1 to about 4 inches. The heaviest around Litchfield, E-Town, Hodgenville, Mumfordville, Lebanon as well. And that's just so far today. Obviously, we've been seeing a lot more since then. And I can pull up our report list here for the last 48 hours. I do want to point out that some of these official reporting sites are a bit lower than, say, the Mesonet sites that we do have across Kentucky. And we tend to have more reporting sites, unfortunately, across Kentucky than I have Indiana. But we're talking 4 to 6 inches area wide in terms of rainfall. However, I've been seeing some isolated reports of 7 to 8 inches of rainfall. That was since all this began on Wednesday. So obviously there's a good reason. We've had many flash flood warnings in place. We have river flood warnings in place as well. And this is a look at that satellite and radar. So we did have a very soggy start to the day in the Louisville metro area. That all lifted northward along the boundary. And then on the south side of that, we've been having some more scattered storms in nature. A few of those did pack a punch with hail, but there haven't been any active warnings on those in quite some time. So we're just getting a soaking rain. It looks like in Corydon, Palmyra, English as well. Once again, not severe, but just dealing with some heavy rainfall, some lightning as well. Wouldn't be surprised if some of these have pea-sized hail with them, because what we were seeing earlier down in Bowling Green, we were dealing with some hailers down there. So we had some hail reports up to about golf ball size down there. But thankfully, they seem to be weakening quite a bit, especially now that that sun is starting to set. Question is, how much more rainfall can we pick up? You know, many of us, we've been seeing anywhere between 3 to 7 inches over the last 2 days. We're looking at another potential of, I'd say, 2 to 4 inches as we head into tonight and tomorrow. Tomorrow is basically a washout. Very rarely do I put a 100% chance of rain, but it is going to be a very rainy day tomorrow. Obviously, we could see some breaks, but expect your Saturday to be very, very soggy, unfortunately. So once again, there's that max HD radar here. No active warnings for our neck of the woods. Looks like a few off to the west with that line that we're seeing in Arkansas and Missouri as well. Unfortunately, Arkansas has just been taking such a hard hit from these storms here lately. So once again, green polygons, flash flood warnings. Looks like the ones that we had in place for Kentuckiana were allowed to be cleared there. But Western Kentucky still dealing with them, St. Louis down to Texas, and also those yellow polygons. I don't know if you all see that as yellow or orange, but that gold color, severe thunderstorm warning, and then about 2 tornado warnings, it looks like, in Missouri and Arkansas. Now, temperatures today, we had a big range. 50s in Louisville, 59, 54 in Cincinnati, 71 in Lexington, 74 in Bowling Green. These are current temperatures. 80s across much of Tennessee. And obviously there's a reason I'm showing this. It's because that boundary that we keep talking about. We had a cold front that sparked those severe storms Wednesday night. That cold front stalled out over the area, brought us more rain yesterday, brought us more rain today. It's lifting now once again as a warm front. And so we had low 80s earlier today in Columbia before that rain rolled through. Low 80s in Columbia. 70s kind of along the parkways, 50s to the north. So, you know, our temperature forecast today probably was not the most accurate because we're right on that boundary there. We've been hanging out near 60 in Louisville. But as that boundary lifted northward, as I mentioned, we were seeing some storms with some hail with them, but they all seem to be behaving at this point, which is good news. This is what I was talking about earlier. This one says compared to a wiffle ball. So that's 1.8 inch in diameter in Smiths Grove, Kentucky, but that was at 3:35. So I think because some of those storms started to reach that severe status with hail, the National Weather Service did put out the severe thunderstorm watch that you're seeing in the yellow color here until 10 p.m. But as I mentioned, those storms have been behaving for the past couple of hours. So I think that wave is fine. No flash flood warnings that are active at this time. I'm sure that will be changing once again tonight and into tomorrow. And then river flooding, this is pretty much until further notice. Basically every river that we're seeing that we typically deal with flooding across Kentucky and southern Indiana, we will continue to see those rivers rise. So in terms of the river levels in Louisville, this particular gauge that we look for downtown, at the latest check at 3 p.m., it was at 17.8 feet. It's expected to go to 35 feet. So at 30 feet is when you hit moderate flood stage. That's when we start to see the issues along River Road. That's why they've been putting those flood walls up. So similar to what we saw in February there. And the Ohio always takes a little bit longer to crest because of everything that feeds into it and because of everything that's going on upstream. So expect some of these river flood forecasts to change or river level forecasts to change once we have the total rainfall from this event. And thankfully with the Ohio, we have that grace period because there's always that lag. Now, smaller rivers like the Rolling Fork in Boston, as of 3 p.m. today, it was already at moderate stage, and we have more rain coming. So we are expecting major flooding down there with the Rolling Fork River in Boston. And if you have any specific questions on specific rivers, a great resource is if you search the Ohio River Forecast Center, and you can see all the different gauges and all the different forecasts for that. I'm not a hydrologist. There are people much more qualified to handle these, but that's how things are looking as of right now. All right, many of you all have questions about the severe weather aspect of tonight. This is the outlook. Greatest risk will be west of I-65, but we're talking late tonight. So the storms that we're watching this evening to the south, not really doing much of anything. The model data shows them a little bit angrier. This model goes a little bit overboard. You can see with the hail cores, anytime you see that purple or pink color on a cell here, I'll circle it, what I'm talking about. Those usually contain hail, which we have seen some hailers today, but as I mentioned, so far, these storms this evening are behaving and weakening. So many of us just getting a little bit of a break for your Friday evening. If you have dinner plans, you know, cool in Louisville, but mostly dry outside of a spotty shower or storm. And then after midnight, more so after about 2 a.m., this is where this line of storms will be rolling through from the west and northwest. So someone just said Breckenridge County. I mean, it's looking like between 2 and 4. I think many of us would be between about 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. with that severe weather threat overnight. But something you'll notice, I'm sure you can tell the difference in intensity from, I'm going to back it up, from here to here. Do you see how the purples kind of go away? I'm going to back up from here, 2 a.m., give or take an hour. So that's why I'm saying 1 to 4, maybe 1 to 5. So here to here. So the thinking is as it continues to push east and southeast, it will weaken. And we're talking damaging winds, maybe some embedded tornadoes. It's not as high of a risk as what we saw Wednesday night, but it's something that still is worth paying attention to. E-Town, I would say 2 to 5 a.m. And then beyond that, we're still talking rain. Rain, 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 more rain, more rain. So I know for good reason, many of you all are concerned about the severe weather aspect of it, but I don't want you to downplay the flooding aspect of it, because Wednesday night we didn't lose any lives, thank goodness, due to the severe weather, but unfortunately due to the flooding, we received news of that fatality of the young boy in Frankfurt this morning. So flooding is the #1 thunderstorm-related killer, and it's something that we really have to take seriously as we head throughout Saturday. So continuing onward into Saturday, that rain continues. The severe weather threat will lessen. I think if we see any strong storms tomorrow afternoon and evening, it'll be like this window right here. Late afternoon, early evening, south. Many of us will have been too soggy for, I think, it to do anything, but our southern counties south of the parkways, Mumfordville, Campbellsville, Adair County, we could have a risk for a few stronger storms tomorrow afternoon and evening. So this is a look at the SPC Day 2 outlook, level 2 out of 5. Now, granted, that takes into account very early Saturday morning and then any storms Saturday afternoon and evening. A lot to look at here. Excessive rainfall for tomorrow, still moderate to high. Highest risk being in that purple color, moderate in the red. So that means, you know, we have that elevated risk for flash flooding. And then finally Sunday, all of that, even the marginal risk, pushes off to our southeast. So it may still be raining Sunday morning, for instance, when you get up, but we're not talking a severe weather risk. It should be lighter rain. It'll be a lot chillier as well. And, you know, we're really paying attention to that. But that flood watch does continue until 8 o'clock Sunday morning. So here's a look at that 7-day forecast. Once again, stay weather alert tonight and into tomorrow. Sunday, we will be tracking some rain, at least for the first half of the day on Sunday. Temperatures will be a lot cooler. We're likely going to hit that high temperature very early in the day, and then those cooler temperatures will be moving in behind that. And then beyond that, early next week, trending a lot quieter. So we have 50s Monday, Tuesday, overnight lows near freezing, and then next week, maybe a shower chance on Thursday. Otherwise, things looking better for thunder over Louisville next weekend, which that forecast will start to be in our 7-day starting with the newscast tomorrow evening. So starting Saturday night. All right. Oh, I'm looking at the comments. I would say if we have anything severe tonight, it'll be between about 1 and 4 a.m. It's not going to be a repeat of Wednesday. We just don't have, Wednesday we were in the level 4 and we had that level 5 just off to our west. So it's kind of a step down from that, but it's still something to take seriously because we do have a boundary that's going to be moving through here. So this is how things look right now. Someone said it's thundering in Borden. These are the storms that are lifting, nothing severe at this point. Just some maybe heavy rainfall producers. We can see if there's any hail with these. No, it doesn't look like it. That's some good news. A lot of these storms contained some big hail earlier, but and then this is the line that we're watching off to the west. So it's one of those lines that's really surging northward first, and then the cold front will eventually bring it back in. So in terms of the timing, once again, I'm going to pull up actually one other model just to see how that's been trending, because this one shows that line after 2 a.m. So this is a lot later than the other night by a few hours at least. But let's pull up a different model because sometimes they have different timing. Bear with me for just one moment. Yeah, so this one is after midnight until 4 a.m. If you want to be safe, I guess you could say midnight to 4 a.m. But this will be moving from west to east. So I know everybody's asking for a specific time frame. I'd say midnight to 4 a.m. to be safe. Many of us will be between about 2 to 4 a.m. It could even lag to about 5. But you can see it's going to be moving from northwest to east and southeast through the Louisville Metro between about 2 and 4. And then it kind of falls apart with that severe weather risk. So we do have the risk, unfortunately, for some strong winds along that leading line and some embedded tornadoes as well. So I know that's not what anybody wants to hear, but it's just better to be prepared. Make sure you do have those ways to receive alerts. But this is that severe weather outlook for tonight. As I mentioned, the other night we were in the red, just for comparison's sake. We were in the red. Tonight we are in the orange and yellow. They really like to split up the DMA, our viewing area, through I-65. That just seems to be a boundary that they like to use. But I do think west, and then it'll gradually weaken as it pushes east and southeast. Beyond that, just a lot of rain, and we will continue to see flash flood warnings. If you don't have to be out tonight, floodwaters are so much more dangerous during the overnight hours because you really can't see how deep that water is. So please be safe. Here's one last look at our 7-day forecast here. I will be here tonight. We will always have a meteorologist in the building. So if for some reason we do have to cut into coverage, somebody will be here. So just make sure you have those ways to receive watches and warnings. Hopefully we don't need them, but we'll be watching that line pretty closely. Once again, not looking at a repeat of Wednesday night. It does look to weaken much more than the one that we saw on Wednesday night as it continues east and southeast, but we could still be dealing with severe thunderstorm warnings due to strong wind gusts and potentially some embedded tornadoes as well. Once we get past that, could have a few strong storms to the south tomorrow afternoon and evening. Otherwise, it's just a big rain event. And then this system finally gets out of here Sunday. And I know we'll all be ready for some quieter weather and some sunshine to roll back in here. But in the meantime, Chief Meteorologist Mallory Schnell here with WHAS11. I hope everybody's been staying safe, been staying dry this week. We're almost to the end of this, but stay weather alert. We will be back on the news side of things at 11 o'clock tonight. And then, as I mentioned, of course, we'll be cutting in as necessary. But I'm going to try to take a short nap because I'll be staying up late tonight to watch these storms. Once again, have a good rest of your Friday evening.